So I had this really weird idea, and then I did it, and now this video exists. So what this video is going to be is I'm making teams, Pokemon teams, to represent video games. In this specific video, it's going to be a bunch of different games from the Super Mario series, including spin-offs like Mariokart, the sports stuff, and Mario Parties. And this is just such an obscure and weird idea. I doubt anyone else has ever even thought to do this, but I did, I guess. That's not really like a flex, but here we are. And if you haven't noticed, I haven't formally mentioned this in a video yet, but I do have a new little character thing here. I decided to drop the literal just PNG of myself as my character, and I changed it out for this cute little marketable plushie-esque creature. Also, because my channel is named after Nidoking, I designed this thing after Nidoking. And you can feel free to skip past this part because this has nothing to do with the video, but yeah. Also, I changed my PFP to match it as well. Anyway, to get into it, we're gonna go in, I guess, chronological order, and start with the mainline series, where it all started of Super Mario Bros. Okay, not really, because I started with Mario Bros, but we're starting with Super Mario Bros. The team for this game would consist of a SCO villain, which would represent not only Mario, but also Bowser, in the sense that it's like the two different faces. You could say the one's good, one's evil, like Mario and Bowser being the good and bad guy. Also, it's kind of like a fiery dragon creature, so that's Bowser right there. It relates to Mario as himself, though, in the sense that like the green face could be regular Mario, but then the red face is like the fire flower or the fire power-up into Fire Mario. Turtonator would also be on the team to represent the whole Koopa Troopa species, the whole Koopa tribe, and Bowser himself. Serena will represent Peach, so if those three things, you essentially have the trilogy of characters. In addition to that, you have Shiinotic, which represents all of the different mushroom things in the game, including Toads, Goombas, and mushroom power-ups. Crustle represents the bricks and blocks, as well as the castles in the game, and Goldengo represents the entire idea of just collecting coins. Super Mario Bros. 2. First up on the team is Politoed to represent Wart, because they are both King Frog dudes. And Wart is of course the main antagonist of that game. Oddish will be on the team, and this isn't a fully evolved Pokemon, but it works really well. This represents all of the different turnips that you pull out of the ground in that game, because you do that for some reason. And Oddish specifically because the deck says they are often pulled out of the ground by people, and that is literally what you do in Mario 2. Blissey is there to represent Birdo, because that is a very important character that was introduced in that game. Psyduck represents Hawkmoth, and the reason I did that is because there's actually a big similarity between the two of them. Both of them in games they've appeared in have acted as a blockade, and only when you give them a certain item, they will let you pass. Being the Psyducks in Diamond and Pearl, with like medicine or whatever, and Hawkmouth in literally every single level with the orb. Ribombee is here to represent the Subcons, which are like the species of creatures in this game, because they look kind of similar. And lastly, Yamask. And this represents all of the different Shy Guy and Sniffet variants introduced in this game, as well as Tweeters and Phantos. Super Mario Bros. 3, we have Corviknight to represent airships, Zigzagoon to represent the Raccoon and Tanuki suits, Galarian Slowking to represent all of the kings, and I specifically did the Galarian one because Galarian Slowking is sort of like possessed or corrupted, sort of like how the kings are possessed and turned into animals in this game. And this is going to be a theme in many of the games coming up, but this slot, the third slot here, is just any evolution. And what I mean by that is it actually worked out that I could assign one Koopaling I should say, to each of the evolutions, including Bowser though. So, Larry is Glaceon, just because he has blue hair and Glaceon's kind of blue. Ludwig is Vaporeon, because darker blue hair, darker blue color. Iggy is Leafeon, green hair, green color. Bowser is Flareon, because fire. Wendy is Sylveon, because cutesy female design. Morton is Umbreon, because they're both the darkest designs of their respective groups. Roy is Espeon, because he's kind of purple, like Espeon is. And Lummy is Jolteon, just because he's the only one left. So anyway, that worked out really well. If this was like some weird ROM hack where you fight teams representing games, it would just be one of those evolutions, just randomly thrown into the team. Anyway, then you have Tinkaton to represent the map boss Hammer Bros and Sludge Bros, as well as the Hammer suit in the game, and lastly Polytoad for the Frog suit. Super Mario World, we have Cyclizar, of course, to represent Yoshi, Bastiodon for Reznors, Decidueye for the Cape Feather, because Decidueye literally has a cape, and it is a bird, so it also has feathers, Driftblim for the Balloon power-up, again, a random evolution for the same thing I said as the last game, and finally, Delmise to represent the ghost ship in the game. Moving on to Super Mario Land, we have Grimmsnarl to represent Tatonga, Kingdra to represent Dragon Zamasu, Pyroar for Totemesu, Probopass for Hyohoi, Altaria for Biokinton, and those are all of the bosses in the game just laid out with things that look like them, is pretty much what I just did there. To represent Princess Daisy, who was introduced in this game, we have an orange-flowered Florges. Super Mario Land 2, we have a Whiscash to represent Wario, because they both have mustaches and a W incorporated into their design. To represent the Rabbit Mario power-up, we have a Cinderace, Wailord for the Whale Course and the Turtle Zone, Lunatone to represent Space Zone, Gourgeist to represent the Witch Boss and also Pumpkin Zone, and lastly Magneton to represent the Three Pigs Boss and also the Mario Zone. For Yoshi's Island, we have a Cyclizar again to represent Yoshi, a Murkrow to represent both Raphael the Raven and also Kamek, Tyrant to represent Baby Bowser, Yamask to represent all of the different Shy Guy variants in this game and also the bandits, because a lot of Yoshi enemies and stuff are just Shy Guy variants, Capsakid to represent Baby Mario, because Scovillain I used as Adult Mario earlier, so it would only make sense, and Smeargle to represent Poochie. Moving into Mario 64, I actually did this in a kind of unique way. Since there's 6 Pokemon on a team, I split this in half. 3 of the Pokemon represent the 3 power-ups or caps in the game, and the other 3 represent the 3 Bowser stages, because there's 3 of each. So for the 3 caps, you have Wartortle for the wing cap, because it almost kind of looks like it's wearing one, Aggron for the metal cap, because it kind of has like a metal hat on, and Kecleon for the vanish cap, because it can turn invisible. For the 3 Bowser stages, you have Turtonator for Bowser in the Fire Sea, because again, Turtonator looks like Bowser, and it's a fire type, so Fire Sea. Altaria for Bowser in the Sky, because it is a dragon type that is a cloud, so it's in the sky. And Hydreigon for Bowser in the Dark World, because it is literally a dark type, and it's a dragon to represent Bowser. Mario Sunshine, we have Blastoise to represent Flood, Grafaiai for Shadow Mario, Ludicolo for the Piantas and Slowbros for the Nokis, Tyrant for Bowser Jr. because he was introduced in this game, and Brute Bonnet to represent Toadsworth, because Brute Bonnet is an ancient mushroom, and Toadsworth is an old mushroom, so similar, kind of. New Super Mario Bros., we have Alolan Marowak to represent Dry Bowser, who was introduced in this game, Fungus to represent the Mini Mushroom, which was, I think, introduced in this game, Amoonguss to represent the Mega Mushroom, which is in this game, I think it was introduced here as well, Zweilous to represent Bowser and also Bowser Jr. because you fight them both in one battle, so it's like 2 dragons at once, which is what Zweilous is. Blastoise to represent the World Cannons, and Staryu to represent Star Coins, which are the collectible in the game. Mario Galaxy, we have Minior, which represents a lot of things, including, of course, the Lumas, but also the Power Stars, the Green Stars, the Red Stars, the Star Bits, and Comets. Then we have Star Mies to represent the Grand Stars and the Launch Stars, Aurorus to represent Rosalina and the Ice Flower, Alolan Exeggutor to represent Dino Piranha, because they're both plant-based dragons with a round object on their tails. Then we have Vespiquen to represent the Honey Queen and also the Bee Mushroom, and lastly Spoink to represent both the Spring Mushroom and Purple Coins, because it has a purple sphere on its head, and purple coins are kind of that. New Super Mario Bros. We have a shiny Shiinotic to represent Yellow Toad, and a shiny Amoonguss for Blue Toad, both shiny mushrooms that happen to be those colors to represent the 2 toads in the game. Then again, a randomized evolution to represent the Koopas or Bowser, Ice-Cube to represent the Penguin Suit and the Ice Flower, Hoppip for the Propeller Mushroom, and Murkrow for Kamek. Mario Galaxy 2, we have Starmie to represent Lubba because it's a purple star thing, Cyclizar for Yoshi, Serperior for Gobblegut, Golem to represent the Rock Mushroom, and Altaria for the Cloud Flower, and lastly Shiinotic to represent just any of the mushroom power-ups in the game, but also for the Bulb Berry and Bulb Yoshi. For 3D Land, we have Zigzagoon for the Tanuki Mario and that whole power-up and all of the tail enemies, Marowak for the Boomerang Flower because Marowak's attack is Bonemerang, but also for Pom Pom, Shiny Linoon for the Invincibility Leaf, Alolan Marowak for Dry Bowser, Probopass for Statue Mario, because both of them are made of rock and have a mustache. And lastly, Hitmontop for Boom Boom. New Super Mario Bros. 2, we have Goldengo to represent the whole concept of coins and money in the game, and also Meowth for the same reason. Then again, a randomized evolution, a Shiny Sunflora to represent the gold flower, and even though Shiny Sunflora looks exactly the same, I did Shiny just because, you know, it sort of just goes with the idea of gold being like rare and precious like a shiny is. Then Shiny Steelix and Shiny Fortress because they're both shiny golden things like all of the golden enemies in the game. New Super Mario Bros. U, we have Nidoran to represent Nabbit, Emolga for the Super Acorn and Waddle Wings, Helioptile for Glow Baby Yoshis, Dewpider for Bubble Baby Yoshis, and Jigglypuff for Balloon Baby Yoshis, and then a randomized Eevee again for the Koopalings. 3D World, we have Gouging Fire to represent Meowser, Grafaiai to represent all the stamps you can get, Cherubi for the Double Cherry power-up, Meowth for the Lucky Bell, the Super Bell, and all of the different cat enemies in the game, Revavroom to represent Bowser's car, and a Scavalier to represent Prince Bully. Then Mario Odyssey, we have Hatchrim to represent Cappy, Mr. Rhyme to represent Mario in his wedding outfit, Gardevoir for Peach in her wedding outfit, Jinx to represent Pauline, Serena to represent Tiara, and Diggersby to represent Madame Brood and the Broodals. And then finally for the mainline series we have Mario Wonder. We've got Weepinbell for the Talking Flowers, Dino for Fury Bowser Jr., Lilligant for the Poplins, Alolan Golem for Castle Bowser, a blue-flowered Florges for the Wonder Flowers because they are blue flowers, and Donphan for the Elephant power-up. Moving into the Mario Kart series, the way I did this is I just tried to encapsulate as many of the tracks as possible from each game into only 6 Pokemon. And every single one, though, also has a Revavroom involved, just because Revavroom is a car, and these games involve cars. So, Super Mario Kart, the first one, we've got a Revavroom just as like the baseline for the team to represent the karts, but also all of the Mario circuits just because they're like the baseline tracks. A shiny Slurpuff because it kind of looks like it's made of chocolate, and that of course represents Choco Island, but also the Donut Plains maps. And then we have Palisand to represent both the Ghost Valley maps and Bowser Castle maps, because it's a castle, but it's also a ghost. Caracosta to represent the Koopa Beach maps, and finally a Rainbow Swirl Alcremie to represent both Rainbow Road and Vanilla Lake. Mario Kart 64, we have Revavroom again, just as the guy that's there. But then we have a Karkle for Calamari Desert, because it has a train in it. Ice-Cube for both of the ice maps, being Frappe Snowland and Sherbet Land. Miltank for Moo Moo Farm. Palisand for Royal Raceway, Bowser Castle, and Banshee Boardwalk. The first two have castles involved, and the third one is a ghost map. And then Galarian Rapidash to represent Rainbow Road. Super Circuit, we have Revavroom again, just to represent the cars. Delmise to represent Broken Pier, Boo Lake, and Shy Guy Beach, because Shy Guy Beach has pirates involved and Delmise is an anchor, and the other two are ghost maps, and Delmise is a ghost. Then Turtonator to represent the Bowser Castles and Lakeside Park, because there's a volcano in that, and Turtonator is a fire type. Sylveon to represent both Ribbon Road and Rainbow Road, and this works really well because I feel like the fairy type relates to rainbows well, but Sylveon specifically has ribbons incorporated in its design, so you've got Ribbon Road and Rainbow Road. Then Tropius to represent every single circuit map, but also Sky Garden, and finally Aurorus for Sunset Wilds and Snowland. For Double Dash, we've got Revavroom again, followed by Palisand to represent Dry Desert and Bowser's Castle, Cyclizar for the entire concept of just racing, but also Yoshi Circuit and Dino Jungle, Pelipper for Daisy Cruiser and also Peach Beach, a Rainbow Swirl Alcremie for Sherbet Land and Rainbow Road, because you've got the fact that it's rainbow, but also a dessert like Sherbet, and then Archaludon for Mushroom Bridge and Mushroom City, because Archaludon is based on both like a skyscraper and a bridge, so that just works. Mario Kart DS, we've got Revavroom again, but then Solrock for Desert Hills because it has the Angry Sun and Delfino Square, Palisand for Bowser's Castle, Luigi's Mansion, and Cheep Cheep Beach. Palisand is essentially just the ultimate representative of Bowser Castle's ghost maps and beach maps. Comfy for Peach Gardens and Rainbow Road, Magnezone for Airship Fortress, and also Waluigi Pinball and Tick-Tock Clock, Executor for Yoshi Falls, Cheep Cheep Beach as well, and also the circuit maps, just because it's a tree, and that's kind of generic like in the circuit maps. Mario Kart Wii, we've got Revavroom again, Turtonator for Grumble Volcano and Bowser's Castle, Palisand for Dry Ruins, Coconut Mall, Meowth for Wario Gold Mine and Toad's Factory, an Autumn Form Sawsbuck for Maple Trueway, and Minier for Moonview Highway and Rainbow Road. Mariokart 7, we've got Revavroom, of course, and then Driftblim for Daisy Hills and Toad Circuit, because they both have balloons in them. Minior for Rosalina's Ice World and Rainbow Road. Archaludon for Bowser's Castle and Neo Bowser City. Primarina for Music Park, Cheep Cheep Lagoon, and Wario Shipyard. And Camerupt for the Woohoo Tracks and Rock Mountain. Mariokart 8, we've got Revavroom, and then a Palisand for Twisted Mansion, Bowser Castle, and Bone Dry Dunes. Mantine for Sunshine Airport and Dolphin Shoals. Rainbow Alcremie for Rainbow Road and Sweet Canyon. Snowy Castform for Cloud Top Cruise and Mount Wario. Toxtricity for Electrodome. Moving into the Mario Party games, we've got Mario Party 1, and for the Mario Parties, kind of like with the Mario Karts, I'm trying to incorporate the different boards into the Pokemon represented here. So we've got Tropius for Yoshi's Tropical Island and Jungle Adventure. It's kind of mashed into one Pokemon. Rainbow Alcremie to represent both the Rainbow Castle map and Peach's birthday cake. Camerupt for Magma Mountain, Blastoise for Battle Canyon, Starmie for Eternal Star, and Revavroom for Engine Room. Mario Party 2, we've got Miss Magius to represent Horrorland, and also in that map, characters dress up like wizards and witches, which is kind of what Miss Magius is. Turtonator for Bowserland, Sigilif for Mysteryland, and also it looks like the logo of that map, because the logo of that map is a Nazca line, which is what Sigilif is based on. Delmise for Pirate Land, Orbeetle for Spaceland, and Karkle for Western Land. For Mario Party 3, we've got Trevenant for Woody Woods, Tentacruel for Deep Bloober Sea, Delibird for Chilly Waters, Sableye for Creepy Cavern, Flygon for Spiny Desert, and also Flygon is known for creating mirages, and that's the gimmick of that map, and Grimmsnarl for Waluigi's Island. Mario Party 4, we've got Meowth for Greedy Gala, Caracosta for Seaside Soiree, Driftblim for Haunted Bash, Turtonator for Gnarly Party, Xatu for Jungle Jam, and Poltegeist for Midway Madness, because one of the gimmicks on that board is the Teacup Ride. For Mario Party 5, we've got Bayonet for Toy Dream, Delmise for both Pirate Dream and Undersea Dream, Iron Shreds for Future Dream, Alcremie for Sweet Dream, Turtonator for Bowser Nightmare, and Castform for Rainbow Dream, because the map has a watery area, an icy area, and a sunny area, which are literally Castform's forms. Mario Party 6, we've got Fan Rotom for Egad's Garage, because there's a big fan in that map, Alolan Exeggutor for Towering Treetop, Pelipper for Castaway Bay, Cryogonal for Snowflake Lake, Meowth for Fair Square, and Lycanroc, any of the forms to represent the general day cycle concept in the game, and also the Clockwork Castle map. Mario Party 7, we've got Tentacruel for Grand Canal, because there's a big blooper in it, Turtonator for Enchanted Inferno, Duraludon for Neon Heights, Drampa for Pagoda Peak, Coffagrigus for Pyramid Park, and Hoppip for Windmillville. Mario Party 8, we've got Delmise for Booty Boardwalk, Oranguru for Treetop Temple, Karkle for Perplex Express, Goldengo for Tycoon Town, Orbeetle for Warped Orbit, and Gengar for Haunted Hideaway. Mario Party 9, we've got Electrode for the Bob-omb Factory, Palisand for Horror Castle, but also Blooper Beach, Karkle for Magma Mine, Orbeetle for Bowser Station, Revavroom for the entire car gimmick of the game and also Toad Road, and Tropius for the DK's Jungle Ruins map. Mario Party 10, we've got Amoonguss for Mushroom Park, Corsola for Whimsical Waters, Trevenant for Haunted Trail, Turtonator for Bowser's Party mode and also the Chaos Castle map, Driftblim for Airship Central, and Revavroom because the car gimmick is here again. Mario Party DS, we've got Darmanitan to represent the DK Stone Statue map, because the Zen mode represents Statue DK, and Darmanitan is a gorilla like DK is. Carnivine for Wiggler's Garden. The main gimmick of that map is that Piranha Plant has taken over it, so Carnivine to represent that. Chatot for Toadette's Music Room, Iron Shreds for Bowser's Pinball, Murkrow for Kamek's Library, and Crustle for the Blockhead Bowser boss fight. Mario Party Island Tour, we've got Minior to represent the mini-stars in the game, and also the Starcross Skyway and Rocket Road maps, Dragapult for the Kamek's Carpet Ride map and also the Bonsai Bill's Mad Mountain, Turtonator for Bowser's Peculiar Peak, Palisand for Perilous Palace Path, Meowth for Shuffle City, and Araquanid for the bubble enemies that appear in the Bowser's Tower mode. Super Mario Party, we've got Appleton for Mega Fruit Paradise, Electrode for Powder Keg Mine, Stonjourner for Domino Ruins, Goldengo for Tantalizing Tower, Sableye for the collectible gems in the game, and Tandemouse for the system of partners and allies. For some Mario RPG games, we've got the original. We've got Skullvillain to represent Mario, Turtonator for Bowser, Serena for Peach, Slurpuff for Mallow, and Nuzleaf for Geno, because those are all, like, the main guys. And then actually I just realized I never finished this. For the 6th slot, I said something to represent Smithy, so I guess you decide? I don't know. Anyway, Superstar Saga, we've got Scovillain to represent the entire idea of Mario and Luigi, the series, and them working together and bros attacks and stuff, because there's a red head and a green head, and that's Mario and Luigi right there. Then you've got Miss Magius for Cackletta, Serena for both Princess Peach and Queen Bean, Escavalier for Prince Peasley, Sableye for Fawful, a random evolution, again for the Koopalings. For Thousand Year Door, we've got Toadschool for Goombella, Tyrant for Yoshi Kid, Electrode for Bobbery, Miss Magius for Vivian, Flurry, and also the Shadow Queen and the Shadow Sirens, Tandemouse for Miss Mouse and just the general idea of the partners in the game, and Squirtle for Koops. Super Paper Mario, we've got Scovillain for Mario, Mimikyu for Luigi and Mr. L, Serena for Peach, Turtonator for Bowser, Rotom for Mimi and also all of the pixels, and Mr. Rhyme for Count Bleck and Dementio. Paper Mario, the original one, we've got Frostlass to represent Lady Bow and also the Crystal King, Wartortle for Parakarry and Cooper, Hisui and Voltorb for Bombette, Swablu for Localester, Bruxish for Sushi, and Rotom for Watt. Partners in Time, we've got Scovillain to represent Mario and Luigi again, Capsakid for Baby Mario and Luigi, Parasect for the Shroobs, Shiinotic for Princess Shroob, a female Jellicent to represent Shrouzer, and then Starmie for the Cobalt Star. Dream Team, we've got Scovillain again for Mario and Luigi, Gliscor for Phantasma, Kamala to represent the Dreams and also Dreambert, Musharna also for the Dreams gimmick, Gengar to represent Dreamy Bowser and also Phantasma, and Hydreigon to represent Dreamy Bowser and the Elite Trio, because it has 3 heads. Bowser's Inside Story, we've got Scovillain again for Mario and Luigi, Turtonator for Bowser, Sableye for Fawful, Emboar for Midbus, Minio for both Starlo and the Dark Star, and Hydreigon for Dark Bowser. Okay, so that's actually all now. I said earlier that I was going to do Mario Karts, parties, and sports games when I said I was doing it all. I actually meant to say RPGs, parties, and carts, not sports games. I didn't do that. But this was still a lot. This video is kinda long now, so we're done, and we're gonna wrap it up. But if you enjoyed this, consider liking, commenting, and subscribing, and I finally am in a place where I don't have the really loud fan anymore, so I've got a lot of shorts ready and this video that aren't gonna have annoying background noise, so cool. Anyway, if you enjoyed this, I think I said this already, but thanks for watching.